Hey there, I'm Sarah Thompson, and if you're watching this, I want to tell you a story. It's not an easy one to share, but it's mine, and it's Emma's. My little girl, my heart, my hero. This is about how we found each other in the darkest of places, and how a 5-year-old's courage changed everything. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let me take you back to a time when I thought I was building a new life, only to find it unraveling in ways I never could have imagined. It all started in Seattle, where the fall air was crisp and the leaves crunched under my boots in our quiet little neighborhood. I'd just gotten married to David Miller, a guy who seemed like he'd walked out of a dream. I was 32, working as a medical receptionist at Harborview Medical Center, living a steady but lonely life. Love hadn't been kind to me. Years ago, a doctor told me it'd be nearly impossible for me to have kids, and that news broke something in me. I thought I'd never have a family of my own. But then I met David at a hospital conference. Tall, kind eyes, a warm smile that made my heart skip. He was a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company, a single dad raising his 5-year-old daughter, Emma, after losing his wife to some sudden illness. I saw his pain, his strength, and I fell hard. When he proposed after just a few months saying, "Emma needs a mom, and I need you," I thought maybe this was my chance to build the family I'd always dreamed of. We got married in a small chapel, just family, with Emma walking down the aisle in this adorable white dress, clutching a bouquet of daisies. I remember looking at her and thinking, I can do this. I can be her mom. But 3 months into living together, I was drowning in doubt. Emma was this angel of a girl, blonde curls, big blue eyes, but she kept me at arm's length. Every morning I'd try to break through. "Good morning, Emma," I'd chirp, sliding a plate of pancakes across the breakfast table. She'd mumble, "Morning," barely looking up, and push the food around. She'd sip her orange juice, but that was it. David would glance up from his newspaper and say, "Emma, eat something," his voice sharp enough to make her flinch. I'd jump in, trying to soften it. "It's okay, sweetie, you don't have to force it." But she'd shake her head and slip away from the table. David would sigh, saying, "She's just not used to you yet, Sarah." My late wife, Jessica, had her own way of cooking. Emma's probably missing that. He didn't talk much about Jessica, just that she died suddenly, and it was too painful to dwell on. I didn't push. I figured it was grief, and I didn't want to poke at old wounds. But I started wondering if my cooking was the problem. Was it too different? Too bland? So I threw myself into it, bought every kid's cookbook I could find, scoured Pinterest for recipes. I'd spend hours after my shift at the hospital making cheesy pasta, homemade pizza, anything I thought a kid might love. But Emma's reaction got colder every day. She'd stare at the plate, her little hands trembling, and whisper, "Sorry, Sarah, I'm not hungry." It broke my heart. I'd smile, say it was okay, but inside I was spiraling. Was I failing her? Was she rejecting me because I wasn't her real mom? David kept saying, "Give it time, Sarah. She'll come around. You're kind, you're patient, you'll be a great mom." But when I saw fear flicker in Emma's eyes, this gut-wrenching unease settled in me. Something wasn't right. Things got worse. Emma stopped eating altogether. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, nothing. The daycare called, saying she was leaving her lunches untouched. I'd ask her, "Sweetie, are you feeling okay? Does something hurt?" She'd shake her head, her voice barely a whisper. "Sorry, Sarah, I'm not hungry." One night I knelt by her chair, looking into those big blue eyes and said, "Emma, you called me mama today. That means the world to me. But I'm worried you're not eating, and I need to know you're okay." She just looked away, tears welling up, and my chest tightened like a vice. I brought it up with David, practically begging him to take it seriously. "She hasn't eaten properly in over a week, David. She's going to get sick." He barely looked up from the TV. "You're overreacting, Sarah. Kids do this. She'll eat when she's hungry." I wanted to scream. Didn't he see how pale she was getting? How quiet? But when Emma shuffled into the living room in her pajamas asking for water, I bit my tongue. Her hands shook as she took the glass, and David didn't even notice. I did, though, and it haunted me. The next day, I left work early and took Emma to a pediatrician. In the waiting room, she sat on my lap, quiet as a mouse while other kids ran around. The doctor, a kind woman with a soft voice, and, "Emma, does anything hurt?" Emma just shook her head. The exam showed nothing wrong, just slightly low weight, maybe stress from adjusting to a new stepmom. "A mother's death is a big trauma," the doctor said, her hand on my shoulder. "It might take time for her to trust you fully." I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. "I love her like she's my own," I said. "I just want her to be okay." Back home, David seemed relieved when I told him the doctor found nothing. "See, you were worrying too much." But that night, Emma pushed away her chicken and rice, her corn soup, everything I'd made with love. I pleaded, "Just one bite, Emma, please." She shook her head, tears spilling. "Sorry, Sarah, I'm not hungry." That's when David snapped. "Enough, Emma. Sarah worked hard on this." His voice boomed and Emma shrank into her chair, terrified. I was stunned. David had never yelled like that. I put my hand on his arm. "David, stop. Yelling won't help." He took a deep breath, shifter now. "Sorry, but it's not okay to waste your cooking." He pulled Emma onto his lap. "Is Sarah's cooking too different from Daddy's?" Emma nodded slightly. "What food do you like then?" I asked, desperate for a clue. But she just buried her face into David's chest, sobbing quietly. I felt like I was failing her all over again. I went all in after that. I borrowed kids' cookbooks, watched YouTube tutorials, tried everything, burgers, mac and cheese, even cutesy bento boxes. But Emma's answer was always the same. "Sorry, Sarah, I'm not hungry." I was exhausted, waking up at dawn to pack lunches, coming home to cook after long shifts, only for it all to go to waste. I confided in my coworker, Lisa, who said, "Your cookies were amazing, Sarah. It's not you. She'll come around." But she didn't. Emma got paler, quieter. The daycare called again, worried about her energy. I was losing it. One night, alone in the kitchen, I broke down. The meatloaf I'd made, the mashed potatoes, everything sat untouched. I sobbed, whispering to myself, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I get this right?" David found me, patted my back. "You're trying so hard, Sarah." But her mom's cooking was different. Simple, homey stuff. I begged him to tell me more. What spices did Jessica use? What dishes? He just shrugged. It was basic, nothing fancy. I don't remember. I clung to that, thinking maybe simpler was the answer. I tried plain rice, grilled cheese, even just bread and milk, same result. Emma's quiet, "Sorry, Sarah," was breaking me. Then David's attitude shifted. One night he said, cold as ice, "Sarah, is there something wrong with your cooking? Emma never did this before." His words cut deep. "I'm trying, David, but you won't tell me what Jessica did differently." He went quiet, then said, "It's hard to talk about her, but for Emma's sake, I'll try." He never did, though. When David left for a 3-day business trip, I felt a strange relief. He'd been short-tempered, blaming me for Emma's refusal to eat. That Friday, it was just me and Emma, and for the first time, she seemed lighter. When I asked what she wanted to do, she whispered, "Can we go to the park?" My heart leapt. She'd never asked for anything before. "Let's make it a picnic," I said, packing sandwiches. At the park, she laughed on the swings, her smile like sunshine after months of clouds. She even took a bite of my sandwich and nodded when I asked if it was good. "I like Sarah's sandwiches," she said, and I nearly cried. That evening, she helped me in the kitchen, washing veggies on her little stool. It felt like a real mom and daughter moment, but at dinner, her face fell again. The fork shook in her hand and she whispered, "Sorry, Sarah, I'm not hungry." I was confused. "You ate at the park, sweetie. What's different?" She didn't answer, just looked at me with tears, like she was holding something back. Later that night, after I tucked her in, I heard footsteps. Emma stood in the living room, trembling in her pajamas. "Sarah," she whispered, "I can only talk when Daddy's not here." My heart raced. "What is it, Emma? You can tell me anything." Tears streamed down her face as she grabbed my shirt. "The old mommy stopped eating too. And then," her voice broke. I knelt down, urging her gently, "Take your time, sweetie." She took a shaky breath. "Daddy got mad when old mommy didn't eat. He put white powder in her food. He said it was medicine, but she got sleepy. She couldn't walk. And then she died." My blood ran cold. "Emma," I whispered, "are you scared to eat my food because you think Daddy's doing that to me?" She nodded, sobbing. I don't want you to die, Sarah. I'm trying to protect you. I was floored. This tiny girl had been starving herself to save me. She thought David was poisoning me, just like he did her mom. Everything clicked, his anger, his vague answers about Jessica, Emma's fear. I hugged her tight. You're so brave, Emma. I believe you. We're going to fix this. She looked up, terrified. But Daddy can't know. He's scary. I nodded. He won't. I'm calling the police. The police arrived fast. Detective Johnson, a kind older man, and Detective Rodriguez, a young woman with a gentle voice. I explained everything, holding Emma close as she told them about the white powder in her mom's food, how David kept it in his locked study. The detectives exchanged a look, and Johnson called for a search warrant. By morning, they found it. Bags of prescription sleeping pills and tranquilizers in David's desk, far more than anyone should have. They also found Jessica's diary in a hidden safe, detailing how David's meals made her drowsy, how she feared for Emma. And then the kicker? David had taken out a $500,000 life insurance policy on Jessica before she died, and one on me too, right after we got married. I felt sick. He'd planned to do it again. Without Emma's courage, I might have been next. The police arrested David at the airport when he returned. The news exploded. Farmer rep arrested for wife's murder. Emma and I watched from a hotel room, her little hand in mine. Is Daddy bad? She asked, tears in her eyes. He did bad things, sweetie, I said. But you were so brave. Your old mommy would be so proud. David's trial was a whirlwind. Emma testified, her voice steady despite her fear. And with Jessica's diary and the drugs as evidence, he was sentenced to life for first-degree murder. I adopted Emma legally, and we built a new life. Now she's 8, thriving at school, and mealtime is our favorite part of the day. We cook together, hamburgers, just like her old mommy made, full of love and laughter. Emma says, Sarah, your food's the best because it's made with love. And every time my heart swells. Emma taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about trust, love, and protecting each other. She saved me, and I'll spend every day making sure she knows she's safe, loved, and home.